Okay, welcome to the September 7th, 2022 meeting of the Goffstown Economic Development Council. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I will start with a roll call, starting with Joanne.
Joanne Duffy, Planning and Economic Development Director. Gayla Breck, Recording Secretary.
Chet Bowen, Chair.
John Napoli, Vice Chair.
Charlie Birchmeyer, member.
Jim Craig, Select Board Rep.
Thank you. Thank you.
I forgot to provide you
I was
with the
just going to
minutes.
ask, but did everyone see the minutes on, or should we postpone it? Everyone good? You went through them?
I
Okay.
went through 'em.
Okay. A motion, can I get a motion on the minutes to approve the minutes of August 3rd, 2022?
Sure, I motion.
Sure.
Second.
Okay, motion by Charlie, seconded by John. All in favor? Aye. Okay, passes. So, first up, we have Scott Slattery of the UNH Cooperative Extension here. Hi, Scott.
Good evening. Evening, folks. Mr. Chair, thank you. Appreciate the committee's time. And for the record, my tie, I don't know, matches the sneakers, but this was my grandson's choice tonight as I had to leave, and he was upset, so Grandpa let him choose the tie.
Aw.
I said, as long as I can get away with it, then it's fine.
There you go.
But thank you for your time again tonight. Wanted to give you an update on where we are with the survey. Wanted to provide you with some information tonight too, to take a look at. As you know, the survey results were much less than we hoped for. So we had decided, the working group, which is, Joanne, myself, and another admin person over at UNH that's been helping us, that we're going to, have to do door-to-door types of interviews. But before we go out and do that, we thought it was a good idea to take a look at the data that we actually got.
Sure.
We got roughly 60 engagements on the survey, but only 24 people actually completed the whole survey. So what I did was I took a run through it. I've got copies for everybody. If you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I'd like to
Please
hand them
do.
around for everyone so that everybody can have a copy and we can talk. There's a summary sheet on the top, and then a couple of sheets. It was really hard to summarize, so I just included them. And we can spend a couple minutes if the committee has some time to talk about a few of the questions. But obviously these are for you to take a look at and digest and then make determinations. I think the first thing that the working group has determined that we need to pare the survey even further down. We think that our engagement was low because it's too many questions. Even at, it's roughly 30.
Yeah.
It takes about 15 minutes to go through the whole survey. We realize people are busy, and we think that's what probably was the reason why people got halfway through and said, I don't have time for this. And you know what, I'm guilty of that too, as I think a lot of people are.
Sure.
So what we've decided is when we do our interviews, we're gonna be paring this down. So I'll be looking for any input from the committee based on the questions that we put out there in the original survey and the data that we got back. What are we really trying to get? What is the information that we really wanna see? A couple of things that jumped out at me from looking at the full survey in all. Businesses are struggling on two fronts. One, housing. Housing was cited numerous times as a reason why they can't expand, they can't hire workers, find workers, things like that. The second thing was wages. Wages are real high right now. It's a workers' market, so to speak, and people are commanding much higher wages, and I think that's really making it difficult for businesses to expand. Some good news, they seem to be very happy here in Goffstown. They seem to be very happy with the services that they're getting from the town. They seem to want more activities, things for kids, festivals, events, things like that bring people to town, bring visitors here. So I thought that overall, there was some neat data that we could pull out, even though it's such a small sample size. Believe me, I'm not hanging my hat on it. But I thought it was important to take a look at it before we took the next step, right, to do that. We're looking at mostly business owner-occupied. Sole proprietors was the largest, that 1 and 2 employees were some of the largest percentages of actual businesses. So we're talking about mom and pop, small businesses here in Ardville. New Hampshire, locally owned, one location, not chains or franchises or any of that. It's mostly all kind of called local, community types of business. all run the gamut, from food service and accommodation, construction, retail, all different types of businesses responded to the survey, which was nice to see. 70% are citing that recruitment, or 69%, is a challenge. I thought that it was strange that 31% that they weren't having a challenge finding that. So what are those 31 businesses and what are they doing? Or maybe they're just not trying to recruit right now. That was something to consider as well. The other big issue that you see is being able to grow, having space to grow, having the capacity, land, facilities, buildings, town infrastructure was cited as a thing to increase to make sure. I also found an interesting comment saying that they want to make sure that the town, develops and manages development so it includes commercial and industrial growth. Not just retail and, another drugstore or bank or something like that. So some kind of very interesting things to pull out of that. And then in the back few pages, I know that it didn't, some of the data numbers didn't come out, and I'll send it electronically and hopefully it's a little bit better comes. But what I really wanted to highlight is they have real positive attitudes towards the community. Not so much for the chamber, because I think that that's always been a tough thing here in town to keep a chamber operating and doing that. So it wasn't that it was negative, it just wasn't as high in the positive range as in some of the other things. But, housing supply and housing costs, you'll see we're right up there across the board as being, important for the quality of their businesses. Quality of life issues were cited, but they like Goffstown. They want it to remain its, rural type, but they'd like to see responsible development and those things. So, but I thought that mostly they were satisfied, with opportunities here. They want trails and all the things that I think that we thought we were going to hear. I think it confirmed a lot of this information. And again, I caution, I know it's such a small sample size. They are very positive with the fire department, the police department, streets and sewers, and all seem to be very happy with all of the government services. I didn't really see any negative types of comments about any of the government services that they're receiving. There was some comments about making sure we improve infrastructure here in town. Oh, please, I'm sorry.
That just jumped out at me, that 10% or environmental regulations. I would think that would be a downer for businesses, but apparently isn't.
Well, I think that probably a lot of people are realizing that, around here, we do have sites that need addressing like that, and cleaning them up is in the best interest of the community. Instead of just industrial development, we want to clean this up so if we can use it as a park or something else further down the road if it can't be used for that use. So you're right, there's some interesting little tidbits of data that we were able to pull out of this. And I know it's a lot to take in 5 or 10 minutes here. Like I said, the working group is looking for input into the next phase of the survey and what we want to do and how we want to accomplish it.
Thank you.
This is great.
In first look,
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to send an electronic copy because I know some of the smaller type just didn't reproduce well. So we'll make sure that you get something that you can at least. Well, what does that line mean? And I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
at first look, I think paring down makes perfect sense when we go out there. I can tell you, Charlie remembers this, we went to some businesses and many of them would say, oh, you do what now? And so it was one of those where letting them know that we're here and they can come to us is important. But just as importantly, and as you're saying Chamber of Commerce, I'm not sure if some people thought of us as that, or Economic Authority, do they think of us as that? I'd like to know in their minds the definition of, is that us or is that Greater Manchester? Like, what are they thinking of when they answer that question? I think
Sure.
I'd love to know.
Okay.
But letting businesses know that we're here, and then a really big on coordination. So there were a couple of requests that came our way from businesses that were happy to talk to us that were quickly shut down because we simply couldn't meet the need because we don't have the pull
Sure.
to do it.
Sure.
And so I think it's important for us to figure out, hi there.
Hello.
One, to figure out how do we do a better job of efficiently answering questions and meeting these businesses' needs by coordinating with the other boards? I think that's one. And anyone else can jump in and stop me here if they think there's a different way. Excuse me. The other piece that I looked at that I found interesting was that 30% are here more than 20 years. Why? Tell us why.
Right.
What are we doing that's working that maybe we can look to the other businesses and see if there are things that we are doing that they're not taking advantage of. So those are just two things that pop out at me right away that I would like to explore a little bit more. So that find those businesses that were here more than 20 years, get a little bit more out of them, and then also find out how these businesses, when they answer these questions, who are they identifying, and if they're identifying us, what's within our power to meet their needs. So that's kind of where I'm at. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, so I'm looking at too, looking at the challenges and as far as recruitment efforts and wages, and that's the biggest challenge that they're having, as we pare down. I mean, if it's possible to get more granular, I don't know if there's, thoughts that the businesses have that, we can be engaged in and help, facilitate or coordinate, efforts to bolster recruitment, whether, we have the ability to, to utilize some venues as we've had previous guests, and, do we get some of these folks together to brainstorm and things like that. So, I think this is great having some of these, kind of glaring things come out, and just now we've, find some areas to focus in on, and the next incarnation of the survey, if it has, some questions of what they would like to see from the town of Goffstown to help, the EDC in the town to help facilitate their efforts to meet that challenge, I think that would be great.
One of the ones that really stuck out to me was 88% of the businesses planned to grow or want to expand within the next 2 years, between now and 2 years. I mean, they want to, but they do have some struggles, so maybe I think looking at some of those other struggles like we talked about, and there are ways that, a body such as this can advocate, for changes in planning. If you want to develop a workforce housing rule or something along that line. I know it's the planning board and the board of selectmen and other people, but this body could be where some of this stuff, gets its genesis from. So, but I like I said, I thought there was some interesting data, some interesting questions were answered. It confirmed a lot of what I've noticed in the work that I've been doing so far around here. The housing thing, I mean, that's no secret to anybody. I think anybody who, has their eyes open these days. Hey, hence my grandson living at my house right now, picking my tie, because they lost their housing. So
Great tie, though.
Thank you.
So I'm also not surprised about, I'm not sure if you use this term, but the economic infrastructure. That's a goal that we stated here a while ago, that we'd like to work with the planning board to figure out a way to expand, and so that we have site-ready plans. And I also think projects like the bridge, I know we're going to get to the bridge, so I won't say much about it, but projects like the bridge to come over here, other access opportunities to get to businesses. We had a survey, I don't know who here was you were here, Joanne, but that said that our median age is somewhere between, the people that live here, between 41 and 45. So to me, that's the beginning of most people's prime earning years. To me, that says there's a customer base here. So helping businesses meet the needs, whatever those needs are, of these people could be helpful. There are a lot of things that we can do, but I want to stress yet again, we can do none of it without coordination with the other boards. So I think it'll be important to have a planning board rep here to start that, and I'm glad we have Jim here. So we always have Jim, but I think the planning board's the next step for us. Yeah.
And that's something we can help too. I'm doing something very similar to that right now in the town of Antrim, where we're doing a 2-day actual community forum as part of their master plan update, and where they're looking at doing some radical changes into their housing pieces of it, especially with some of this additional funding out of the state right now to address this affordable housing crisis. So that's certainly something that UNH can assist with too when you get to that point.
Fantastic.
We have one, I guess you'd call it affordable housing project on Bog Road that's currently under construction. With roughly 71 units. Out of those 71, all but 11 will be rent controlled.
Fantastic.
based on your income.
Okay,
Fantastic.
that's some workforce right there.
That's it.
Most likely.
That's our workforce, it is.
Charlie? John? Jim?
I don't know, I'm just kind of curious, does St. Anselm's have anything to do with that? I know they think they're in Manchester, but,
I have an email about that.
I saw that.
You know,
are they a hindrance or are they an asset to Goffstown?
To with it.
I wouldn't begin to answer that question. I can tell you this, that of the people that we surveyed, more than 90% either are in favor of changing the zip code or don't know.
Hold on, changing the
That's
zip
a
code.
lot.
In Pinardville.
From?
From the Manchester zip code that it is to a Goffstown zip code. It
That's
was
a
one of the
lot.
questions that we put into at the end of the survey, were you in favor? Because every 10 years, the town can petition the postal service to make a change in the zip code.
10 years ago, when they tried to do that, it was, the residents wanted it, but the business owners said, no, we're not interested, because they wanted the Manchester zip code, because they wanted to be able to use the Manchester address, thinking that that was a positive for their business to be known as being in Manchester rather than a small town like Goffstown. But I wonder if that's changing, since Manchester isn't as desirable a place as it had been previously.
I think this shows it right here. I mean, 57% agree that they'd
Yep.
like to change.
Yeah.
So,
What-
and these are businesses, there's no residents. We didn't ask any residents in the survey. I'm sure if we asked the residents, that number would go a lot higher too, purely for insurance purposes.
Yeah, I was gonna, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
I mean, that's just the
that
first
your
thing that
car
comes to
insurance
mind as a
alone.
homeowner,
Yep,
right? Wouldn't it be more cost effective
Yep.
being a Goffstown homeowner, you know, than Manchester? And, you know, no disrespect intended,
sure.
but you know what I mean? So,
Scott, so what's the N on that? You said not everybody finished the survey. What was your number of respondents for that particular?
I don't know specifically, but I can find that, I can drill down on
Just
that
more
and
than-
get you
more
the
than a
actual number.
handful?
Sure. Yep. And I can tell you that almost every person that started up the survey had no problem with us sharing, you know, their information. So, most people were very open about it. We had a lot of people that indicated they wanted us to contact them for follow-up too. So,
Thank you.
I'll see what I can find out about that on that number for you.
Just-
But I thought that
just
was very
curious.
interesting.
It is.
Other
Joanne, when can we do that again?
Okay, I'm sorry, do what again?
Sorry,
Change
the zip code.
The zip code, well, it can be done every 10 years, and I think it's coming up shortly.
It is, from the way I understand
Yeah.
people have.
I don't know the
talking.
exact date, but I can find out.
Okay. And Sarah, you were shaking your head yes, like,
Yeah.
there's
I was
definitely
curious.
momentum in this direction, so,
I just think that being a business owner and kind of discussing that with my husband a while ago, we were kind of saying, well, we pay taxes in Goffstown for our business, and it gets confusing to some people, like, why our address, like, it's Manchester and Goffstown, it's confusing.
Sure.
And so, you know,
Right.
we live in Goffstown, and we would just rather have it be simple.
okay. All right, and that's sort of the word that, are you getting that word from other associates, other business owners, or is that where you stand as a business owner?
That's kind of my own stand, because
Sure.
I really haven't discussed it with people, but I could discuss it with people and find out how they feel, if it helps.
It would, yeah, because I think that's a big deal.
Okay.
And I think in some of the things that I've heard is that, yes, St. A's will be a hindrance
Yeah.
to that effort.
Definitely.
My understanding is when that first was proposed 10 years ago, they were quite resistant to that change, so.
So, I think, you know, if, however involved that we are in that, you know, discussion when that time does come, I mean, I think it would probably behoove us to put out some information of what does this mean?
Absolutely.
You know, if we flip over and, I don't know, maybe counter some of the opposite side from, you know, St. A's and other folks. But-
Yeah. What does this mean? What does it mean for
Yeah.
you? What would you have to do, if anything, when we change this?
Right,
All of that information would be helpful. If I owned a business, it's exactly what I would want to know.
exactly. How does this
a
impact
good
me?
point.
Sure. Yep.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm not sure how much it's gonna, how many businesses would actually be affected by this, but they're in the area of Goffstown that uses the 03102 zip code.
Yep.
There are streets of the same name in Manchester. So when 911 is called here in Goffstown, if they do not think in their emergency to say, I'm in Goffstown, they're most likely gonna send emergency services to Manchester. And then there's a delay in assistance getting to the emergency here in Goffstown.
That's a huge point.
That's the most powerful
That was
argument right there.
addressed the last time, that was a big factor.
Sure.
It was talked about a lot, but I don't know, it still failed.
Okay.
But it's
We'll make
important.
sure that when we do this next round, that is out front.
That's great.
Yep.
And I think it's in this committee, whether it be now and we fail, hopefully we wouldn't, but at 10 years from now, it's almost as if we have a responsibility to give that a shot for a lot of good reasons. So, great. Anything else, Joanne?
No, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up, but I did reach out to St. A's back in March of 2022, asking if we could get together, and I wasn't sure who to reach out to, so I started with this one person. Her name is Nicole.
Yep.
And she just wrote back to me in August. She said she had stumbled across the email from March, that she must have missed it. But she would still like to have a conversation about projects and how we can work together, and she would love to connect. So I wanted to talk to you more about it as to what we need, because back in March, we were looking more for interns to, hand out some flyers and things like that, where now I think it would be different from what we had earlier.
Agreed. So, just to give everyone in the committee a little bit of the history there, not long ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I had went and met with someone, and I wish I could remember who, about potentially having someone intern here to help you out with some of our outreach. And we were told to go to whatever system they use. I want to say Hand something. And we did that. I don't think we got a lot of responses from that. So any connection we can make to a person, community engagement's a good place to start. I more than volunteer to go and meet, and anyone here that wants to join me would be more than welcome. But if when you reply, if you would like to add me to it,
Okay.
I will absolutely set that up.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd go with you.
Please, it'd be great. We got to bring the heavy.
That's the way you settle for me.
So yeah, add Jim and I, and then we'll set that up.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. March to August. Okay. So Scott, anything else you want to add that just comes to your mind? I mean, this is a lot of really helpful information, so thank you.
No, please, and as you know, you all have my email. If you come up with an idea or question or whatever, let me know. And everybody, of course, is always welcome to join the working group anytime, Or if you'd ever like, we do them by Zoom sometimes, usually because Trish is out in Durham. We can record them too. That's
Sure.
it's not something we have been doing, but we can. So if there's something specific, just let us know.
What I would, if you could, maybe for next month,
Yeah.
let us know, put together, based on what you've seen, I understand it's a small sample size, but it's
Yep.
what we have.
Yep.
Maybe what you believe with your expertise would be a pared down
Yep.
version of this. And then what I'd also like to see is 2 to 3 questions specifically designated to go to those businesses that responded that have been here for 20 years or more.
Sure.
And then maybe we can just give that the stamp of approval and go.
Okay.
I think that would be great, and I certainly want to have more conversations about the economic infrastructure as time goes by. So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
No, my
Appreciate it,
pleasure.
Scott.
Thank you, folks.
This is great.
Everybody enjoy your night.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Scott.
I lost my agenda. There it is. Okay. So Joanne, I see under new business a planning update.
So I just wanted to give you an update
Sure.
on some of the new or projects before the planning board. Remember the quilt shop ladies that came in?
Yep.
I don't know if you all know, but they did move
Yep, I
over
saw
to
that.
the old barber shop location, and now they have parking, and they're very happy. And they are now open for business.
Wonderful.
So that worked out well. They were someone who had a problem, but figured out how to solve it. And they had just moved into that second unit to have more space, and then and then this became available. So it was a lot of work on their part to take everything apart and all the money they had spent renovating that unit, but they did it.
So somebody else, is that space vacant?
It is, yes. And it's pretty much like just been painted and, you know, it's fairly ready to move into. So Alpha's Barbershop moved into the smaller location
Yeah.
of the jeweler. But, so he's still in town. And Starbucks was approved, but now we're waiting for all of the paperwork of it's a condo unit, so we have to have a lot of paperwork that needs to be recorded. The plans have to be signed, so we're just waiting on them right now, but that project has finally been approved. Hawks Motorsport is in the process of going through the planning board. That's the trailer business that's by the circle or by the high school. They are having a hard time with a lot of things, so they have been very slow moving. The car wash, the new car wash building, they're almost finished with everything. They ran into a problem with the transformer. It was, something happened to the original, and now Public Service said that they can't get them a new transformer until October. But they were lucky to find a temporary replacement so that they could at least get going. So they're going to be testing the equipment. That has to be, I think it takes like a week or so. And then they have to do one or two other things. And then they're going to hold a soft opening, just so they don't want to get overwhelmed because, you know, everything's brand new and they want to make sure the equipment works properly. So once they have the soft opening and that goes well, then they will be having an open house, and they're going to do free car washes for a short time, maybe a week or so. And I believe the vacuums will be free as well.
Great.
So that should be happening fairly soon. The Main Street program held concerts on the Common. They did about 3 or 4 of them. I passed by it one of the nights, and it seemed to be fairly crowded. So I think the Main Street program is really starting to do a lot more than they have been. They also got permission from the Select Board to put flower, what would you call them, like large flower pots, large flower pots that are self-watering around different locations around the village. So that was approved, and I believe they've gone ahead and did that. So I think hats off to Main Street. And I think that's it. That's all that's going on. We have a very lengthy agenda tomorrow. Some of it is business, but there's a lot of residential, which I won't bother to bring up here.
Okay.
We do have another apartment complex coming in shortly over location near the Shell station, right on the property on Mass Road that's been available. It's been vacant for a long time. Well, it's been vacant forever. There hasn't ever been anything there. And I think that was 30 units.
Yeah.
And that, I can't remember if that's a condo or not. I can't remember. I haven't.
I don't think so. I'm not certain. I remember them coming.
Yeah, I can't remember. And it hasn't even gone before the planning board yet. So it's in its infancy stages, but, so that's another residential. And the project along Mass Road across from the villa they're working on phase 2 and they're finishing up phase 1. They're doing the foundations and the initial construction there. I think it's slow going. I think the sales have kind of slowed down right now. So I don't know what
I
will
would just be
happen
interested
once
to know
winter
what's
comes.
what they're putting up, how much of it is potential workforce housing. Back to Scott's point earlier, I don't know how much of it would or wouldn't be, but it'd be good for us just to know.
The only one I know of currently is the Bog Road project.
Okay.
Everything else is, even including the Factory Street apartments, everything is the word I'm looking for, market rate housing.
Got it.
So, yeah, I'm sure the rents will be quite high.
Sure, sure,
Are
yeah.
those, there's 3 buildings, right? I know they're working on
The factory
but are
street?
the other 2 going right up after they finish that, or?
Yes, there'll be
Or
3
approved and
buildings
everything?
altogether.
Right.
The 2 other buildings are much larger. There's 99 units
Right, are they all
total.
approved and they're boom, boom, boom?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's their plan. Now, if they don't rent them right away, that may be another story, but that's the plan right now. I don't think that will be a problem, though, because there's so many people looking for apartments. I think a lot of people have been pushed out of the housing market, and they realize that now, so now they're looking for apartments to rent.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay, and then the appointment to the ad hoc committee. I know that Dick had expressed that he was interested in that for the bridge ad hoc committee. So unless he sort of after today would decline, I think we would say that he would be our appointee.
Okay, I just heard from him today,
Yep.
so I don't think he would decline. So I will, if you would like to vote on that, then I will provide Derek with the name tomorrow, because I think they're trying to get a head start with, I think all of the other committees have already made their appointments.
Got it. So does someone want to make a motion with the condition that he doesn't decline?
I'll make the motion to nominate Dick Bruno for the Bridge Ad Hoc Committee.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, so that passes. And we talked about number 3, about the community engagement email. So the only thing we have left, Joanne, I think that's official for now is making sure Sarah gets sworn in.
Yes.
Okay,
You'll either have to go to Kathy Ball, the town clerk, or at the next meeting, if you can't make it, at the next meeting, I can get the paperwork from her, and then I can swear you in,
Okay,
and just do it before the meeting.
yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
That'll work.
Okay, all right.
Awesome, thank
I'll
you.
make sure I get that.
anything else not on the agenda that anyone wants to go over?
Yes, sir.
No? Charlie?
No.
Jim? Okay. All right, then I think that's time for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion by John, seconded by Charlie, all in favor? Okay. End the meeting, thank you all.
Thank you.